They say motherhood is a journey, but let's be honest, sometimes it feels more like a roller coaster with no seatbelt. I bet you're like me, wondering why babies, or teens in my case, don't come with instruction manuals. Welcome to This Incredible Mom Life, the podcast that celebrates the beautiful chaos, quiet wins, messy moments, and everyday miracles of being a mom. I'm your host, Dummy, wellness coach, mom of three boys, and a passionate believer that you don't have to live at the mercy of PMS, burnout, or exhaustion. Join me every week as we hear the craziest and most unbelievable mom stories. I'll be sharing the huge accomplishments and triumphs of both our moms and their kids. We'll giggle, cheer on the kids, and discuss obstacles and lessons learned along the way. If you are struggling to be the best mom you can be, how open-minded are you to booking a free call with me? You don't have to live at the mercy of your cycle, and you definitely don't have to do it alone. Give yourself permission to let me be part of your support system. I believe that you weren't meant to just survive motherhood. You were meant to thrive in it. Welcome back to This Incredible Mom Life. I'm so glad you're here. Today I have two supermom guests with me. Joy Millan is the founder of Joy of Life Surrogacy. With a background in fertility care, she founded the agency to support intended parents and surrogates through a compassionate, ethical, and fully supported surrogacy journey. Tia Calderon is a three-time surrogate and proud mother of three who now serves as the marketing director at Joy of Life Surrogacy. After experiencing the surrogacy journey firsthand, Tia felt called to support other women considering this life-changing path. Thank you, ladies, for being here with me today.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank
of
you.
course. Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you
Of
for
course.
having us.
So let's get started. Tell us who you are a mom to.
I am a mother to three beautiful kids, a daughter and two boys, and they're older now, so they don't need me as much, but they're amazing and brilliant, and I am blessed to have them and be their mom.
How old are they?
My daughter is 19, and then I have an 18-year-old son and a 15-year-old son.
Nice. Okay. I have three teenage boys, so I'm just a little behind you, I guess. And what about you, Joy?
I have two boys. The one is 5 years old and one is 6.
Nice. So you're on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I'm hearing
Uh,
all the teenager stories.
Yes, they'll
yes,
give you
they're
tips when they get there.
it's just
Yes.
different than the little kids. It's just, I don't know. It's not harder. It's not easier. It's just very different.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
All right. Well, who's going to share a mom story with us?
I'll go ahead and share one with me. It's when my 18-year-old was younger and first grade, and my he's my loner, little oddball, little one. He just does his own thing, and I remember I was helping out at the school, and he's you know doing this Avenger movie and he's in his head and he's moving his hands everywhere and talking to himself because he's just playing out this whole movie in his head. And to me, he just looks so weird doing that. So I'm like, and his shoe was untied. And so I was like, hey, buddy, let mom tie your shoe. So I'm going to tie his shoe. And I'm talking to him like, hey, buddy, I know you're doing a movie in your head and it's cool to you, but to everybody else, it looks kind of weird, bud. And he's like, Mom, I don't care what anybody else thinks. And I was just like, well, okay, he's more sure of himself than me. And that, like, every time I tell the story, it's still like that. I just balled up crying that day because I was just like, he's 7 and he already knows that he doesn't have to perform for anybody.
Yeah. Nice. My son used to do that too. Like there was always something going on in his head, and you can tell like he was doing a fight scene or something like going through. But yeah, that's a great life lesson that he learned early, right? Just to be yourself and not worry
Yeah.
about what anyone else thinks. Awesome. So now tell us a little bit about who you are and what you guys do.
Well, we are, I'm sure Joy can elaborate more, but Joyce founded this because she worked in fertility and Um, and they're, she'll tell her backstory a little bit more, but essentially we're there because we want to support both sides. A lot of some agencies focus more on parents, some focus more on surrogates. And it's important to us to really be that bridge and support both sides equally. When I did my first journey, I didn't do it with Joy of Life. They weren't an agency yet. And neither myself or the parents felt very supported. I'm still very close with the intended parents, and they tell me all the time how like the agency was not there for them, and I felt the same way after we got matched. It's like they disappeared, and so our purpose, our goal, and our mission is to be there, to hold their hand, to support them in every step, the parents and the surrogates.
Nice.
Yes.
Joy, you want to tell us about your story?
Yeah. So as I was a clinical coordinator, since I speak Mandarin, some of my intended parents want me to support them, especially during the delivery, so that I can do the translation, that they can, make sure the paperwork are all filed properly. And then there was one case, and it was my first case in person to support these parents. It was in Reading. Um, we drove about 10 hours to Reading, and then the next day we're ready to leave because baby is all well, and but the surrogate had a C-section, so she had to stay for longer. And then the day that we are leaving, it was like 5 a.m. in the morning. We heard a soft knock on the door, and it was surrogate that lining on the by the door, and she asked us if she could hold the baby one last time because we know, once we're apart, there's no way that we're gonna meet each other. And she was rocking the baby, trying to scan, memorize the face of the baby, and then she gave baby back. She turned around, one hand, she didn't even say bye to us, but she lifted her left arm up and say bye, and the right hand was wiping off the tears on her face. And she is walking into that dark, long way, and it's just like it's a scene that always replays in my head. And I just wish that I could be there for longer, but I have to take the parents to leave. So I can't stay. And she didn't have anybody with her at that moment. Maybe her family member will come to assist her to be with her later. But just that moment, I just feel so lonely. And I do not want any of my surrogates to experience that. And of course, intended parents too. They're panic. They're from different state, different country. They're here just by themselves or just had each other. So funding Joy of Life is one of my dreams come true that I have a whole team now. Tia and everybody else share the same goal mission that we're there, like, be supportive, not just saying, oh, we will be here. We hear a lot insurance seller or whoever, I will be here, but we will actually need them. They're not. So we want to be there and also physically be there too. That's always our goal. And starting this business, I wasn't a mom yet, so I can't really leverage myself, at that level to understand how moms feel. I just understand on the parent side when they struggle to have a child, how much they're gonna go through because I worked at a fertility clinic. But now as a mother, every day, and the other day I visited a surrogate. She was experiencing some, emotional breakdown. And I totally can understand because in the morning I drop off my kids, they're yelling, screaming in my car, eating, everything dripping. And I just look at my car, it's like totally a disaster. And this moment, like I can't think of anything else. And I have to hold my breath every day because I don't want to be sometimes the moms will experience guiltiness afterwards. And it's just like, oh, I shouldn't yell at them. They're just kids. They're 5 and 6. They didn't know anything. And then when I come back, I was still in my guilt, and they were already hugging me, like, oh, I miss you. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, for surrogate moms who add this mission to their job, like mom job already, like they trying to balance their life. They're trying to be very presentable in front of strangers who is going to start this close journey with them. They can't show their vulnerable part, like, messy in the morning or whatever. That's very brave, and it's the most
Yeah.
altruistic thing that I could imagine. Last weekend, me and my coworker Vanessa went to a delivery, and then her brother asked her to do that, to do the hair and stuff so that we can be more presentable and nicer on the pictures. And we were like, no, then that's a fake for mother's life because mothers are never like have a nice, perfect hair and hold a baby. Those are not their kids, and we are
Right.
there as a POA. There is no way we're gonna keep ourselves like together. It's like the
Yeah.
end of it. We're so tired, but we're so happy, like, and the face, like the expression can't lie. It just like is so loving in this miracle, like have a baby for the family, and the surrogate did her mission, completed. We're so blessed in this journey with them.
Nice. So for those who don't know, explain what a surrogate is and what the process is.
Uh,
Yes.
but
Okay, so the intended parents will have their embryos created in the lab. There are two different surrogacy. One is traditional, one is gestational surrogacy, and for Joy of Life, we only do gestational surrogacy. Is that the intended parents have their embryos created in the lab already, and the surrogate moms will just carry that embryo to term. It's like an oven and baking their buns.
Okay. So for families who are either considering getting a surrogate, um, or becoming a surrogate, like how do they get started? What's the process?
there's some preliminary tests that the parents need to do to, if they don't have embryos already, there's tests that need to be done to create those embryos. If they already have embryos, then, you know, that work is done, and it's essentially just finding us and finding us and letting us find you a surrogate. But if they don't have embryos created yet, it's a bit of a process. They have to decide if they want to use a donor, if they want to use all of their material and makeup, and then they got to have these tested to even see if they can use their material and makeup, whether they're even going to have a choice to use a donor or not, or if, they won't have a choice and they're going to need to use a donor. So those initial steps are pretty profound in making your decisions on and what you need to do. We guide you through all of that in our IVF service. So Joy is very well versed in that, working in the fertility clinics for years. So we guide you through all of that, and we pick you up for your appointments, and we help you manage, doing those shots if it's, you're doing egg retrievals, and we're there for every step. And from there, once you do have the embryos, that's when the surrogacy process starts. That's when you're matching with your viewing profiles, and you're considering what is important to you. What do I need in my surrogate, and what is something I can compromise on? Because there's no such thing as a perfect person, and there's no such thing as a perfect surrogate. But know what you absolutely cannot compromise on and what you can. And same for surrogates with parents. Know what you absolutely cannot compromise on, and then what you can. It's like a relationship with your partner. Joy said this once in another interview you were in, and you just have to know what you can compromise on and what you can't, and then what are your core values. What is most important to you. Know those things when you're matching, and you match with the person that meets majority of those, right? And then you get to know them because you're in that journey for a year. And if you don't want communication afterwards, that's something you discuss in the beginning, and we we are there to help facilitate that communication. We are there to help facilitate when there are struggles or differences in opinions. We're there to foster the relationship, to facilitate that communication, and to hold your hand. So um, it's definitely
Um, so you were actually a surrogate. So you want to talk about the journey, like from your journey from when you got pregnant through when you gave up the baby?
Yeah. So the well, I was surrogate 3 times, but essentially, so when you first meet, you're nervous, just like an interview for a job, right? You're nervous. I'm sure the parents are nervous too. But again, you go with your gut and the people that you connect with most and have the most things aligned, um, and then you go for a medical screening, which is your like first big step after your match, to where they do a uterine cavity check and they do blood work and a consultation. And it can be a little bit scary because it's like, oh, I'm really doing this. And then from the medical screening, you have a psychological evaluation to make sure you're in a good mental space as well. Um, and you meet with the therapist, usually on camera, so she can make sure you're not under duress or anything like that. Like you're can see your mannerisms and not your voice, and she knows she can see that you're in a healthy place. And then from there, it's legal contracts, which I always tell my girls, really read your contracts. Even if you don't understand the words, read them through. And then you have that time to meet with your attorney, and ask those questions that you're like, what does this mean? And ask the questions, even if it seems silly, because your entire journey from that point on is going to go off that contract. So know what's in there. And then after legal, you start the injections, the hormones, and they're tough. You're doing, usually it's 2 injections. Delestrogen is the injection form of estrogen, and usually it's in an injection form, but sometimes there is they do give pills instead of the delestrogen. They give estradiol, and so that's nice when you only have to take one injection instead of two. Uh, and sometimes they also, you have to take Lupron. I had to do Lupron on 2 of my journeys. That's in your stomach, putting your ovaries to sleep. Um, so sometimes there's 3 injections. I had to do 3 injections twice, on 2 of my journeys. So the injections are inevitable. Progesterone one is the one you're going to absolutely have to take, and it's in injection form. So, and that one starts 5 days before transfer and lasts anywhere from 10 to 12 weeks after transfer. So you're on that one for quite a bit because your body's, it's not a normal pregnancy. And so your body is not going to produce those hormones naturally. So we have to sustain it with those hormones. And honestly, my hormones were way more intense I think on the synthetic, maybe not for everybody, but I was definitely more irritable and more emotional before I even had the embryo in, because of the injections, and those hormones being pushed into my body. So for the partners out there, give your partner grace. She's on hormones. Give her grace. And then uh, after injection, or about 3 weeks, I want to say sometimes 4 of injections, it's the transfer time. Transfer is coming when you start that progesterone, because that starts 5 days before transfer all the time. So that transfer is set. You get a calendar, so you have it all mapped out. You're not like wondering when's the next injection. It's all mapped out from you from the get. But you have that transfer date as long as your lining's building the way it needs to be. Your body's responding to the medication. Your hormone levels are where they need to be. You have your transfer. It's a very simple procedure, super quick. The most uncomfortable part of the transfer is having a very, very full bladder. And that's just to help the uterus get pushed down a little bit. Sorry, I'm not out of the frame there. Get pushed down a little bit, and easier to see, so the doctor can slide that catheter right in. So that's the purpose of having that full bladder. Highly uncomfortable, and worst part of the transfer. And then from there, it's a waiting game and hoping and praying that the baby implanted and found a nice home in the uterus. And you take your blood work 7 to 10 days later, and then you do a repeat to make sure it's doubling. And then you schedule your first heartbeat ultrasound, where they get to see the baby at 6 weeks. When you're naturally pregnant, you get pregnant naturally. It's normally around 8 weeks, with IVF and with surrogacy, it's at 6 weeks. We get to hear that heartbeat and you get to see that flicker, and it's the most beautiful sound in the world. And you continue on those injections until you're 10 to 12 weeks pregnant, and then you start seeing your own OB. And it's kind of pregnancy as usual from that point on until delivery. Once it's delivery, the parents come, and hopefully, not all the time, sometimes they don't get to make it. During COVID, a lot of parents didn't get to make it, and that was a really tough time. But when the parents do get to be there, and the baby, I had a C-section, my first one, because I had twins, and the baby comes out and cries, and the parents are just tearing up and over the moon, and that's their baby, and you help them get there. Best feeling in the world.
Nice. So talk about some of the emotional challenges that you feel as a surrogate,
You feel,
especially when you have to like give up the baby at the end, right?
I didn't feel I mean, for me, I think because I go into it knowing it's not my baby. I go into it knowing that this baby shares none of my DNA. I was not this baby's mother, so I don't feel as though I'm giving the baby up. From the beginning, I know it's not mine. I'm just taking care of the baby for 9 months. I was a preschool teacher before this, and I took care of kids for a living. So it's just another way to help a family and care for their child, another person's child. So I never gave up a child because he was never mine. When the kids got picked up at the daycare, I didn't feel like I was giving them up. Their parents were picking them up. So it's the same for me. It's the same as a surrogate. I never felt like I was giving up a child because the child was never mine. I was just caring for that child for a little while. So the parents were picking up their kid.
Nice. I like that approach to it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if there's a family out there who wants to learn more, tell us a little bit about where they can find you guys.
Joy, I've talked a while now.
Yes. The best way I would say get to know us is joyoflife.com. It's very easy. You can just plug in and search. We are also, have our phone number, email info@joyoflife.com, or search us on Instagram. You will see all those life stories, pictures with real independent parents and surrogate moms who are sharing their brilliant journey with everyone. And of course, you will see one of our cars running on the freeway if you're in California.
Yeah.
Yes, and scan the QR code if you have any questions. Reach out to us.
Nice. So if anybody is either thinking of becoming a surrogate or having one for their family, right? Reach out
Yes.
to the Joy of Life.
Yes.
Well, this was an interesting conversation. So I just want to thank you ladies for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Of course.
Of course.
And, again, if anybody is listening and you are considering this, get in touch with them, get your questions answered. And to my listeners, thanks for being here. You will see me next week.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are you struggling to be the best mom you can be? Are you fatigued, overwhelmed, and stressed out? Are you losing precious time with your family because of PMS? If so, sign up for my free gift on how to start living in tune with your monthly cycle. The link to get it is in the show notes below. Use this guide to help you start to eliminate your symptoms of PMS, increase your energy, reduce stress, and fully enjoy this incredible mom life. The way I see it, you have 3 choices. You can try to figure it all out on your own. You can do nothing and stay where you are, or you can get the customized guidance you need to thrive as a mom. The choice is yours. Thanks for listening to today's episode. I hope you learned something from these stories. If you enjoyed this show, please make sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share this podcast. It really helps this show grow. If you have a mom story you would like to share, click on the link in the description below on becoming a podcast guest. Remember, the content on this podcast is for general information only. It does not replace any medical advice given by your healthcare providers. Please check with your doctor if you have any questions about your specific condition and before starting any new diet or exercise regimen. Thank you, and you will hear from me soon.